So today let us start the chapter Cellular Respiration. Now what is cellular respiration? You have already seen in the respiration chapter there are aerobic, anaerobic and cellular type of respiration. Cellular respiration generally takes place in the cell. Okay, in a cell like mitochondria or cytoplasm in these cells, and the steps of the cellular respiration takes place through three stages. So what are the steps of cellular respiration? Glycolysis, Krebs cycle and electron transport chain. So what is glycolysis? It is the first step of glucose oxidation in which glucose is oxidized to pyruvic acid in presence or absence of free oxygen. So you have already seen that in respiration, glucose is oxidized, right? To produce energy, and this is respiration actually. So this is the chapter continuation to the respiration. So see, the first step is glycolysis, where actually the oxidation of glycolysis takes place and the end product is pyruvic acid. So glucose is oxidized to pyruvic acid in presence or absence of free oxygen. Next step is Krebs cycle. In Krebs cycle, what happened? The acetyl CoA, that is coenzyme A. This is coenzyme A. Acetyl coenzyme A is oxidized to carbon dioxide CO2 and water in a cyclic pathway through the formation of various organic acids. And electron transport chain is the third chain. Here what happened? This reduced coenzymes like NADH plus H plus or FADH2 is also the reduced form of coenzyme. These are formed in the Krebs cycle. Those reduced coenzymes are oxidized in presence of free oxygen through electron transport chain. So the end product, the coenzyme, the reduced coenzymes which are produced in Krebs cycle are oxidized in presence of free oxygen in the third step, that is electron transport system. Right? So you have got it. This is very easy to remember that what happened here, what happened, glucose is converted to pyruvic acid, then acetyl CoA is converted, okay, is oxidized to carbon dioxide and water in a cyclic pathway process. And here what happened, the reduced coenzymes are oxidized, that's NAD plus, NADH, NADH plus H plus, from here NAD plus it happens. So it is oxidized in presence of free oxygen through electron transport chain present in inner membrane of mitochondria with the formation of ATP molecules. ATP is adenosine triphosphate molecules, right? Okay. ATP is also known as the energy storehouse. Okay. So what is the process of glycolysis? We will go through three processes only. First process is glycolysis. This is a process which is also known as EMP pathway because it was discovered by three German scientists, Den, Meyerhoff and Pranas. So, according to the name of the scientist, it is also known as EMP pathway. And where is the site of glycolysis? Means where does glycolysis takes place? It takes place in the cytoplasm of a cell. So the reactions of glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm of a cell. So let us see what is the stages of glycolysis. See, from glucose in presence of energy, it is converted to glucose 6-phosphate. From glucose, it is converted to glucose 6-phosphate. From glucose 6-phosphate, it is converted to glucose 6-phosphate is converted to fructose 6-phosphate. Then from fructose 6-phosphate, the compound is transformed to fructose 1,6 biphosphate. Okay? Okay. So this is the first stage, second stage, and the third stage. There are three stages or the steps of glycolysis. Here we will see what are the steps, but before that, let us see what is the process, the full process. You can see from glucose, it is converted to glucose 6-phosphate, then fructose 6-phosphate, then fructose 1,6 biphosphate. You have to remember this step. The step of glycolysis, while writing your answer, you have to give these steps. So please try to remember. It is easy to remember. From glucose 6-phosphate, then fructose 6-phosphate, then fructose 1,6 biphosphate. Now from here, it is divided in two directions. That is 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde and 1,3-dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Okay. Now this is from here, the fructose 1,6 biphosphate is split. Actually, it is split into two compounds, that is 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde and 1,3-dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Now from this 3-phosphoglyceride, the remaining process takes place. So from here, it is converted to 1,3-biphosphoglyceric acid. See, 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. From here, it is converted to, the NADP is reduced. So, from here, it is converted to 1,3-biphosphoglyceric acid. Then from here, it is converted to 3-phosphoglyceric acid. Then 2-phosphoglyceric acid. Then 2-phosphoenol pyruvic acid. From there, pyruvic acid. So the glycolysis is a process where from glucose it is converted to or oxidized to pyruvic acid. The end product of glucose is pyruvic acid. We have just now studied that. Right? See. So, oxidized to pyruvic acid. So, from glucose, pyruvic acid is occurring, and the steps you have to write and show in the examination. See, this is very easy to remember. I am again recapitulating it. From glucose 6-phosphate, then fructose 6-phosphate, then fructose 1,6 biphosphate. Very easy to remember, glucose. Then fructose. From fructose 1,6 biphosphate, they split up into two compounds, 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde and 1,3-dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Now see, from phosphoglyceraldehyde, again coming 1,3-biphosphoglyceric acid, then 3-phosphoglyceric acid, then 2-phosphoglyceric acid, then phosphoenol pyruvic acid, and then pyruvic acid. So see, the entire glycolysis takes place through three main stages. In the first stage, what happened? Here, one molecule of glucose is phosphorylated by ATP and enzymes. It's phosphorylated by ATP. See, this side the arrow is in, and from here the arrow is out. That means here these are released, and here these are taking up for the process. So see the arrow and remember it. So the glucose is phosphorylated by ATP and enzymes, produces one molecule of 6-carbon fructose 1,6 biphosphate. The two molecules of ATP are necessary for this conversion. See, ATP is necessary for this conversion. Two molecules of ATP are necessary for conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to 1,6 biphosphate. Got it? Now second stage what happened? This 6 carbon fructose 1,6 biphosphate is split into one molecule of 3 carbon 3 phosphoglyceraldehyde and one molecule of 3 carbon 1,3 dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Here you can see from here the two compounds are split up, right? In the third stage what happened? This 3 phosphoglyceraldehyde is converted into 3 carbon compound pyruvic acid. Then I said from here the remaining process is being converted and ultimately what happened? Pyruvic acid is formed. So in the overall glycolysis process, from each molecule of glucose, 2 molecules of pyruvic acid and 2 molecules of ATP are formed. See, 2 molecules of pyruvic acid and 2 molecules of ATP are formed. From glucose, pyruvic acid and 2 molecules of ATP are formed. Clear? Glycolysis process. Moving to the next process, Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle begins when acetyl coenzyme A reacts with the 4-carbon organic acid, that is oxaloacetic acid, to form a 6-carbon compound called citric acid. I will show in the cycle. The cycle is named after the scientist Hans Krebs, who first invented the reaction sequences of Krebs cycle. This cycle is also known as citric acid cycle because the first product of the cycle is citric acid. See, first product is citric acid, that is from acetyl CoA. It reacts with oxaloacetic acid to form citric acid. So as the first product is citric acid, the cycle is also called citric acid cycle. And the citric acid has 3 carboxylic group, that is COH group, and hence the cycle is also termed as tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA cycle. TCA. So tricarboxylic acid cycle, it is also termed as. And where does this reaction takes place? It takes place in the mitochondrial matrix. So let's see what is Krebs. See, from pyruvic acid, this is a continuation. From pyruvic acid, this acetyl CoA is formed through this reaction. Pyruvic acid is the end product of glycolysis. Then from glycolysis, Krebs cycle is formed, and from Krebs cycle, ETS or the electron transport chain is continuation. So the three processes are continuing process. Okay. So see, from pyruvic acid, 3 carbon compound is formed. So from there, acetyl CoA, that is 2 carbon compounds is formed. From NADP to NADPH and releasing carbon dioxide. So this acetyl CoA or coenzyme A is formed. And we have seen that first is what? Citric acid is first formed. See, from acetyl CoA, citric acid is formed. Got it? So citric acid is the first product. That is 6 carbon compound. Here carbon compounds are written. This is 5, means 5 carbon compound, 4 carbon compound. I will not say this while explaining the cycle. See, from citric acid, cis-acotinic acid is formed. Cis-acotinic acid. From there, isocitric acid. See, from citric acid, you can say acotinic acid, isocitric acid. From there, oxalosuccinic acid. From there, alpha ketoglutarate acid is formed. From here, succinyl CoA is formed. See, just in the center, what happened? Acetyl CoA, and this is succinyl CoA. So this part is easy to remember. Till succinyl CoA. This also you have to write. The cycle you have to give during the examination in the answer script. So see, acetyl CoA, from here citric acid is the first product which is formed. Then cis-acotinic acid then isocitric acid, then oxalosuccinic acid, then alpha ketoglutarate acid, then succinyl-CoA is formed. From here, succinic acid, then fumaric acid, malic acid, and oxaloacetic acid. These are all four carbon compound. Okay? So see, this is easy to remember. From succinyl-CoA, see succinic acid. Then fumaric acid. Then malic acid. Then oxaloacetic acid. So this part, see, CCIOK. CCIOK. You can remember like this. CCIOK. Till here, citric acid, cis-acotinic acid, isocitric acid, oxalosuccinic acid, and alpha-ketoglutarate acid. Then succinyl-CoA is formed from alpha-ketoglutarate acid. Now from succinyl-CoA, this site SFMO. SFMO. Succinic acid, fumaric acid, malic acid, and oxaloacetic acid. From here again this is formed. See, from acetyl-CoA reacts with 4 carbon organic compound oxaloacetic acid to form the 6 compound citric acid. So from oxaloacetic acid again citric acid is formed. So this is a cyclic process. Got it? Now moving to next. Next step is electron transport system. This is the last stage of cellular respiration. The last step in aerobic respiration is oxidation of NADPH plus H plus or FADH2. Okay, which is produced in Krebs cycle and glycolysis by molecular oxygen through electron transport chain. See, the ultimate, it is produced NADPH plus H plus. Right? This is the ultimate reaction and this is produced in Krebs cycle NADPH plus H plus. See here also. So, the aerobic respiration is oxidation of NADPH plus H plus or FADH2 produced in Krebs cycle and glycolysis by molecular oxygen through electron transport chain. Here also it is produced. See, from glycolysis to acetyl-CoA, NADPH plus H plus. Okay, clear? So, next is the synthesis of ATP during this oxidative pathway in electron transport. What happened from ATP? Actually, the ATP is synthesized. Okay, and it is known as oxidative phosphorylation. You know what is phosphorylation? What is phosphorylation? The synthesis of ATP means in the process of phosphorylation what happened? From ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, and inorganic phosphate combine to form ATP. Means the synthesis of ATP happens. And when it is happening in presence of oxygen, it is known as oxidative phosphorylation. So the synthesis of ATP during this oxidative pathway is also called oxidative phosphorylation. Each molecule of NADH plus H plus and FADH2 yields about 3 and 2 molecules of ATP respectively. It yields about 3 and 2 molecules of ATP respectively. Site of electron transport chain is inner mitochondrial membrane. So the cellular respiration is clear? Okay. So this much for today. go through the chapter very easily. You can remember the steps of glycolysis and Krebs cycle. These are very important questions which comes in the examination. Thank you.